Okay, so for today's episode, we're going to ask our guests about the most crucial step in being hired nowadays, the interview process.
So joining us tonight are two distinguished med species. So first we have Andrea. She's one of my teammates in the recruitment team. So she joined us last July this year.
Right, so she's a talent acquisition associate. And our second guest is Kharina. She joined Med Specialized as a virtual administrative medical assistant under Dr. Catalyst in April of this year. Both of them will be sharing their own interview experiences as well as tips on what to do before, during, and after a job interview.
Right, that's some juicy stuff. But before we get into that, we want to get to know our guests better, and also so that the listeners can familiarize like your voices and your origin story.
There you go.
your origin story. So first, Drake, could you walk us through your experiences and just tell us how you got started with Med Specialized also?
Alright, so my name is Andrea and I'm one of the TA associates here in Med Specialized. So I applied here exactly one day after I graduated. So I graduated from USC last June 16, 2022.
Just this year.
Just
Just
very
this year.
young.
And I applied June 17. And yeah, that's where everything started. So yeah, my now teammate my now teammate and good friend Lizelle was the one who administered my initial interview, and it went well.
Yes,
So
you're here today.
so now I'm here today under Alyssa,
Wow.
my team lead. So yeah. So
Shout out
far
to
so
Alyssa.
good.
I don't feel any pressure right now. This is fine.
So far so good, and I'm looking forward to my growth here in the company.
Wow.
So I'm assuming that this is your first job since this is your you applied
Like
straight out
after
of
graduation.
right?
You take a wild guess. Do I look like someone who
Ooh.
this is my first job type of girl, or
Okay, now I'm being put on the spot.
Oh, reverse Uno card real quick.
I like the wit. Yeah, you actually look kind of young, so I'm assuming that this is your first job.
No, actually
not.
no. I was way back 2019. I worked as a part-time customer service representative in one of the BPO companies here in.
All right. I also
You
forgot
didn't know
about that.
that? You
No,
didn't know
I
that?
knew that. I just forgot it for a while, but I always knew it.
Yeah. So and after that one, I worked there for 6 months. After that, during 2021, I applied as a ESL tutor, English as second language tutor.
Right.
It's home based, so yeah. So that will make and way before that one, 2018, I worked as a Big Bad Wolf staff. So remember the books,
the book fair. Yeah.
book fair. So yeah, I worked there for a week. So basically, this is my fourth job.
Fourth job.
She's a hustler. You know that
Yeah.
that's
I was just about
something
to say that, yeah.
that's something that the senior high school students now, when I interview people who went through senior high, I feel like they're so excited to work that during college they look for side hustles because it's too long to be in school and you need money. So that's something that I really respect about you guys, because a lot of you are really hustling and bustling.
I need to pay for my Shopee orders.
Oh my god.
The all important Shopee orders.
Yeah. What about you, Kharina? Are you a Shopee addict also?
Kind of.
Who isn't?
What do you usually get on Shopee?
That's a secret.
I have to rate her Shopee card.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Check.
That could be one of our next icebreakers. But
Yeah.
yeah, Kharina, could you tell us about your previous work experiences, or again, the Kharina origin story?
Yes.
I've worked at different BPO companies before, but I actually took a break after giving birth to my son.
Oh, you have
Yes.
kid.
How
Kid
old is
or
he now?
kids?
He's already 4 years old. Just turned 4.
Ah,
Right,
okay.
so how did you start here at Med Specialized?
I
How did
was.
you discover the job?
It was actually.
What made you interested?
It was actually after that we were staying in Bohol, and then I tried to look for. We relocated because there was no electricity, and I needed my son needs electricity.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Yeah.
we stayed in Cebu. But then, you also need a job in order to keep up.
Yeah.
Pay for the bills?
Yeah, pay for the bills. So I looked through different companies and applied through a lot of BPO, and then I end up with a med specialist.
Okay. So what does your as a your position is quite a mouthful. It's virtual administrative medical assistant under Dr. Catalyst. What does that job entail?
There's a lot of tasks, but what I do there is we're part of the prescriptions department, so we kind of like refill. I'm not really quite sure, but we kind of like order or refill medication.
Your supervisor isn't listening to this.
No, you know what?
Like, I'm not sure with the term, but
Yeah.
it's
Yeah,
refill
yeah.
They do
medications.
so many things that
Right.
sometimes you're just not sure what you're doing, but
Exactly.
they know what they're doing. It's just
Yeah.
like sometimes you're on autopilot, right?
Exactly. Sometimes it's just hard to put a name on the thing that you're doing.
Yeah.
Because there's just so much on your plate.
Yeah.
I can totally relate.
It's like I know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
It's just I can't really tell you what it is in detail.
right.
Ah, okay. So Jay, a while ago you said that you applied straight out of like college when you graduated, but it wasn't your first work experience. So you've had interviews like before that, and you've had work experience. How was that different? Like when you applied at Med Specialized fresh out of college?
I would say the biggest difference is the setting because it was conducted face to face, but here in Med Specialized, it was conducted online through Google Meet.
Right.
specifically.
So that was the time where we were like completely working from home, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, July. Yeah, I think so. Yeah. So that's the only difference, and it's not that much. But yeah, I mean, you still get to do the talking, and yeah, it's just virtual.
But personally, for you, what do you prefer? Do you prefer being interviewed online or face to face?
As a psychology graduate, I would say that I prefer to be interviewed, and I prefer to interview face to face because I can see the body language.
Right. And you can see like facial expressions.
It makes
and
it more personal.
yeah. And then you can really tell like the way someone acts, like with how genuine they're talking to you and how they answer. Because even if like the camera is on during the interview, sometimes you're really not sure because maybe they have like bad quality camera.
Yeah.
Maybe.
That happens a lot. That's not,
Yeah.
uncommon at all. Yeah.
What about you, Kharina? Sorry, do you want to go?
I was just about to ask. We're on the same wavelength right now.
Go ahead.
No, I was just about to ask Kharina about her interview experience with Med Specialized.
Okay, same question. Wavelength. In sync.
In sync.
Mine was still virtual interview, and it was bad. I would actually prefer a virtual interview over face to face.
Oh, why is that?
It's because it's been a long time since I had an interview, so I prefer the virtual one, which is why I'm thankful for.
I see. Well, I think based on like my observation, the virtual interviews really save time for the candidates or the applicants because they don't have to travel they don't have to spend time and money to get to the place and have an interview that, you can't really guarantee that it's gonna go well. Yeah.
Right.
So for you guys, I want to know like your worst interview experiences so far. Like, do you have any like horror stories of how badly like it went? Because I'm pretty sure like we didn't start off with like good interview skills, especially if it's like your first job interview. You're very nervous. You're very unsure of yourself. Sometimes your mindset is just, I just want to get a job. You don't even research what the company is, what the job actually is. Like, I think I can do this. Like, this sounds good. I'm kind of qualified.
I can be trained for this.
Yeah, that's always the mindset. Like, I'm not qualified, but I can be trained. So you give it a shot, and then at the end, you're just like, okay, maybe I shouldn't have done this to myself. Because I've definitely tried that. Like, I showed up to a walk-in interview once, and they're like, okay, so what do you know about the company? I'm just like, I'm really not sure what to say. And it really reflects so badly on you because you don't like prepare for these things. So what about you guys? You, Pao, you can also share your story on like...
There was this one time though that it was before the pandemic. but the since the employer was a US based company, we had to conduct the interview online, and so the usual online horror story interview where I mistakenly stood up and I was only I was only
predictable.
wearing my boxers. So, yeah,
predictable.
I wasn't thinking straight that time. But that was the only sort of a flop that I made during an interview so far, and I hope I don't jinx myself.
So how did that go? Like, did they hire you after that? They were like,
no.
oh no.
So I guess it's a flop still. Would that still count?
What?
No,
Do you think the reason was because
I don't think so.
or you were
I wasn't even called out. Like I only realized after I sat back down. And I was like, oh my god, did
I didn't even realize.
Yeah, I didn't even realize. And then, yeah, I'm not sure why I wasn't accepted, but they didn't even call me back or emailed me, which is a bad practice. So yeah, I'm not sure why I didn't get the job, but I'm thankful that I did it because I ended up here in Med Specialist.
Wow.
Amazing.
Everything happens for a reason. What about you guys? Kharina, do you have a story to share about maybe how you flopped or like just any funny anecdote from like your interviews or job hunting experience?
Not really.
Oh my god,
You guys-
super perfect.
Amazing.
Like,
You guys
yeah.
know your interviews.
Whenever you, I'm not really sure how to state this one, but when you go to interviews, do you not talk to other interviewees?
Like while we're waiting.
Yes, while waiting.
Oh my gosh, I never tried that because I used to be a very quiet person, and you know when you're doing interviews, you're very nervous.
Yeah.
So I'm just kind of just like fidgeting. But you know what? Now that you say it, I think that's a good thing though to like break the ice
Do
with
you
the
think
people.
that will help?
Yes.
I think so because it takes you out of you overthinking
Yeah.
like how the interview is gonna go. Because based on my experience, I'm just sitting there in silence and I'm talking to myself as the interviewee and the interviewer. So I already have the results before my interview.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, I know I'm not gonna get this job because I already played it out in my head. So maybe that's a good thing to do. Like talk to
There goes your first
interviews.
tip.
talk to. But okay, how did you like? How does that help you with like the interview process, like talking to other people, or how do you even start a conversation with others?
I'm not really a friendly person, but when it comes to interviews, I would when I think like when I go there to get an interview or to do an interview, I try to talk to other interviewees so that I would know what they would say, and then what they would say, how they
Basically,
Helping each other out,
helping
right?
each other.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Especially those who already had done the
Experience.
interview. I would ask them, hey,
Yeah.
what did they ask you?
Okay, so you're getting like a cheat sheet
Cheat sheet.
of like possible answers.
Possible answers.
Nice. That's a very. You know what? I wish I knew that
You know.
before I flopped all of my previous interviews.
Because
Yeah, go ahead.
it's really an icebreaker when you know some just cheat sheets like
Yeah, yeah.
during the interview.
Yeah.
I think it also helps take your mind off of like overthinking.
Yeah,
the
the what
interview.
ifs, like
Because-
what are they gonna
yeah, 'cause
ask
if-
me?
If you're just like out there sitting alone, just thinking to yourself, thinking by yourself,
Yeah.
it kind of feeds your anxiety, right?
Oh yeah, and then you end up
And
not
end up
doing well
just-
in the
yeah.
interview. Based from experience. Dude, I've flopped so many interviews. What about you, Dre? Like based on your lengthy experience
4 jobs.
4 jobs.
Okay, so just the secret to success is actually preparation. You gotta prepare.
That's true.
You gotta prepare, so you can actually go on YouTube and ask like, what do they commonly ask? Like that actually helps
Yeah.
because it's most often than not, it's actually just the same. So maybe there are a few situational questions that the interviewees tweak depending on the job that the interviewee is applying for. So yeah, just come in prepared. Fake it till you make it. I sometimes get anxious because what if I don't get it? What if I flop, or what if I might say something that they do not entirely agree? So that's something you should take into account. So just be careful. Be careful in choosing your words. Try to impress them and try to be as genuine as possible. Don't try to, put too much or say too much flowery words. As long as you're being genuine with your intention and you know that you have what it takes to have that position, then you can certainly get the job.
Yeah, I think that's what's really important when you're doing like interviews or just when you're talking to people in general is to stay authentic to yourself and what you're saying. Because at the end of the day, like usually when I do interviews, I tend to repeat questions if I'm kind of sketched out by their answer. Like, this feels like a very rehearsed and memorized answer. So I try to like move on to another question and then later on I bring up the same question but kind of rephrase it and then turns out that their answer changes or like this doesn't really add up to what you said a while ago. So like even though you want to impress like the hiring manager or whoever's doing the interview, I feel like you just really have to be authentic and genuine with your answers because that's really one way of making sure that you would also be a good fit to the team. Because if you're gonna lie your way through an interview, there's a big possibility of you not being like happy with that job and not being a good fit for the role or for the team. So I really like that, Dre. Like you just really have to be like, genuine, even though you're like panicking inside and having anxiety.
So what does that even mean? How much of your true authentic self do you even show? Because I mean, I'm pretty sure all of us can agree that there are parts in ourselves that could potentially compromise or jeopardize your chances of getting that job. So where do you draw that line?
Oh, do you want to go first? That's a very good question.
Yeah, that's a very good question.
Thank you for that wonderful question.
Okay, so
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
okay, so showing your authenticity in an interview, you have to only up to a certain extent. I mean, you have to keep in mind that your aim there is to get a job without compromising your authenticity. So you have to like actually like still be genuine without if you're naturally chatty. Let's say me. Example, me.
Perfect example.
Naturally chatty. You guys know that. So if you're doing an interview, you don't have to, you can be chatty because not make the interview boring or like less interesting. So you can be chatty, but only up to a certain extent. Like you have to tone down and be mindful that hey, I'm here for the job, so I'm not gonna highlight how chatty I am, but rather I'm gonna highlight that I have what it takes to actually get the job.
Yeah, that's right. I think when what I mean by like being authentic and being genuine, I think it's more on like the goals and like the things that drive you to like why you even want this job. Because some people will tell you, oh, I want growth, I want a higher salary, but it's not really what they want in the first place. So they just want to say what the HR or what the hiring manager wants to hear.
Very common.
Yeah, it's very common, and it's really easy for us to pick up on it as well. Like when you can, I don't know, there's just a way that people deliver their answers when it's not genuine. And I think we can encounter that on our like day-to-day conversations with people, right? So for me, it's staying true to yourself also, because if you have it's important that you have your own goals, right? And the job that you're applying for or the career that you want to build, it has to be aligned to the goals that you want to achieve, and it has to be rooted with like within the drivers of like your motivation. And even if you're not motivated, you still have to have that discipline to like do these things. So you have to also be true to yourself in being able to tell like, am I gonna do well at this job, or am I gonna be happy at this job if I actually follow through, and not just for the sake of like getting a job. Although again, that's not really something that everyone has like, privilege to like do, because again, like what we mentioned a while ago, like sometimes you just gotta pay the bills, and you have to do jobs that aren't really going to be like the most amazing things
Or
the most fulfilling. But if you have that opportunity to like find that company that can be aligned with your goals and like your values as a person, I think that's very magical. But with what you said, like where do you draw the line? You also still have to remember that this is still a job and it's a professional setting. Although the levels of professionalism or corporatism, it depends on the companies that you're applying for. So I guess being prepared and doing your research will really also help you maintain that composure of like, how far can I take my personality into this interview, and how, like, I guess, how conservative do I have to be as well? So I think there is where you draw the line of still remembering that you still have to be a professional. You have to maintain professionalism. So even if you want to showcase like your bubbly, chatty personality, there's a way to like tone it down, be graceful about it. So you can be chatty about talking about your experiences, what you can bring to the table, and not chatty about like, oh my god, I do this in my free time.
Exactly.
So
That makes sense.
you play to your strengths and make sure that whoever's interviewing you can see it as a strength or as an asset.
Okay, I think, Liz, that was a really good answer.
Thank you, pal. Thank you so much.
I would just like to bounce off of that because I think that we have quite two unique perspectives here from Andrea's side, being the interviewer, and on Kharina's side being the interviewee. I think I would just like to ask, what is your usual thought process when you are conducting an interview?
As long as, well, back to authenticity. As long as he or she showed that one, like it's very evident during the call, and like, I mean, stuttering is really normal. Maybe it's just because of nervousness. So I am actually a bit lenient on that one. So as long as he can get his point across, even if like there actually, I am handling about, how many jobs am I handling, Liz? Joke.
I feel like you're handling more than 10 jobs right now. Yeah.
I would say 14 jobs right now. So
it's quite a lot. Props to you, Dre. Shout out, Andrea.
So each job has different job descriptions. So there are some who is actually looking for excellent comms, and there is someone who is just looking for trainable comms. So my thought process is case-to-case basis. Okay. So yeah.
So it depends on the position that you're interviewing for.
Yeah. So there is some where I pass them if they can get this point across, even if it's not executed in an optimal way. But there are some that we're in. It's client facing, so you really have to speak so good and so fluent, and I really need to try to ask situational questions and questions that will really gauge their communication skills. So that's how I do my way.
Right. So I think like that's where like people overthink that part. But I want to get to know, Dre, like your process when it comes to the interview. Like how do you usually start it off? Because like one of the things that we try to do is make sure that the candidates are also comfortable, because we understand that they're very nervous coming into the interview. And I think some candidates or like applicants also might not think that the interviewers get like nervous sometimes at the start of the interview.
Do you get nervous?
Yeah, there are times where I do. Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah, especially if you're not really having like a really good day. So you're kind of like, oh no, I have to start this interview and I forgot what this job description is.
Exactly. It happens to me a couple
Yeah,
times.
especially if you're juggling like 14 different job descriptions and you kind of, again, if you're having an off day, you really have to exert 110% effort to making sure that the interview goes well, because as the interviewer, it's your responsibility to make the comfortable interview to make the interview comfortable, because if the interview starts off in a weird mood, or it's not really like, if you don't set the mood right, the candidate won't be able to shine during the interview. And at the end of the day, like we're rooting for the candidate. Like the recruitment team wants to hire people. So we want to make sure that we get the best answers out of you, and we don't also waste our time and don't waste your time. So I think just like for that, Jay, how do you usually start off your interviews and make sure that people are like comfortable? And can you tell if a candidate is like nervous or something?
Yeah, I actually can tell if the candidate is nervous, if the voice is a bit, shaky, or maybe it takes a while for them to respond to me if I say hello and like hello. There also I can say, oh, he's quite nervous. So I ask him, how are you feeling? If I feel like the candidate is, maybe a fresh grad or someone who isn't really accustomed to the nature of the interview process. So I try to make him or her feel, hey, I'm trying to make him feel like, hey, it's gonna be okay. No matter what happens, it's gonna be okay. Whether you pass or fail, I'm not gonna bite you.
Hopefully.
I can do it virtually.
So if it was in person, would you?
Beware
I'm
of
just
Andrea.
kidding.
If Andrea is your interviewer, then maybe like
No.
keep distance. Remain social distancing.
6 meters. Yeah, so I just try to ask them how they're feeling, and most often than not, they say, I'm a bit nervous, ma'am. Sometimes they address me as ma'am, and I correct that every time because I'm Andrea. Okay, there's no need for the formality.
You prefer to be called by your first name.
Yeah, Andrea.
Okay.
Yeah, so.
Yeah, I think that's very common though for us in the Philippines to always use ma'am, miss, sir. It's a sign of respect. Because when I started interviewing, I was very accustomed to just using the first name, and my mom would get so mad at me. She's like, you should call them ma'am or sir, because that's like the formal way. And I mean, at their time, I think that really was the norm. That's how you show respect.
It came from a good intention when saying,
Yeah.
ma'am.
Yeah, like showing respect and authority. But then also for me, it's maybe again, it's like the westernized culture already in our brains that, and also I guess it depends on the work setting that you're gonna go into. If it's very traditional, then maybe maintain that ma'am, sir kind of rapport with your supervisor or your superior. But like for us here, we're very open to just calling each other.
Very casual, actually.
Yeah.
We call our managers by their first name.
Yeah.
Janine, first name basis. Andrea calls you Liz, right?
No, I actually call her Miss Liz.
When she needs something, or when she thinks she made a mistake, she's like, Miss Liz.
Miss Liz, I forgot to email.
Yeah, but when it's something like, Liz, do you wanna get food?
Always.
we observe that with some of our teammates. Like even Jem mentioned, like, if they're approaching us with like concerns about work, they're always saying miss. But then when it's about like chica and small talk, they just go like, hey Jem. Like super chill about it. So
Hey, Jem, you want McDo?
yeah. Yeah. But going back, you're saying you make sure that the candidate doesn't really feel nervous, and when you can sense that, you try to set the setting.
Give reassurance, actually. Like, hey, when they say I'm nervous, ma'am, I would say, hey, it's okay, it's gonna be fine. So just like be yourself. I actually do that one when I interview candidates who seemed nervous.
Oh, that's great. Well, Kharina a while ago mentioned she doesn't really get nervous during interviews because you try to talk to other candidates. But when you did the virtual interview, was that different? Were you a bit nervous for that, or was it just like I got this?
It's like I got this.
Yeah, okay.
How do you get to that mindset? Because again, I'm really curious on like, was it always like that for you when you started
Very
interview?
confident.
Yeah.
No, actually not.
So you started
I
off as
started off
like attending attending
it's
interviews.
multiple interviews based on experience.
So you learned how to gain composure during interviews. Could you share how you went through that? Because I think it's also really like with time and with experience, you get more comfortable like with your skill set, with the way you communicate. So for you, like how did that happen that you didn't really like, or you weren't really nervous anymore during interviews?
First would be to know the company. You get to do research, as Andrea mentioned a while ago. You have to plan or prepare for this interview.
Right, yeah.
So there were for the interview with Med Specialized, they had like certain topics that you wanted
Yeah,
to review on.
yeah, like a
So-
list of like things that you need to review, right?
Yes.
Topics, yeah.
So those were the topics that I studied and prepared for the interview. And most of the what I've noticed of most of the interviews or the interviewers, is that they would just ask the most basic questions like tell me about yourself, like what are your strengths and weaknesses, and those are just something that you can answer with confidence.
Have you had like have you had an interview experience where an unusual or an odd question was thrown at you, and how did you handle that?
Unusual odd questions. There's only one odd question that was asked before. It was at the final interview. The question was, I don't know if it's odd with you, but for me it was odd. Like, how do you sell an air condition at Antarctica? Something like that.
Oh, okay.
That's interesting. How do you answer that?
Yeah, how do you answer that?
So, this one I actually had a cheat sheet because I heard it. I heard some interviewers talking about this question, and when they told me that what the answer was that the air conditioner can work two ways. It could be a heater and an air con, like a cooler.
A cooler and a heater
A cooler
at
and
the
heater.
same time.
So that's how you will sell this air conditioner in Antarctica.
Is that how you responded?
Yes.
So you aced it basically, like you always do.
And no, there's
Very
because there's another follow-up question because I think the interviewer knew that we knew the answer already. So the other question was how do you explain the color purple to a blind person?
Oh, yeah, that's a
pretty common.
That's a common question. But if I can share, I think most of the time people just ask this question during interviews. It's not really that they're expecting like a correct answer. It's just how you answer. Like, do you panic or do you answer with grace? Like, are you witty with your answers? Because some people overthink it and they end up not like answering it at all.
Right.
And they're just like, oh, I don't know. If they can't see, then
just freeze.
yeah, they just freeze. So I think that's where like preparedness comes in, and also grit and wit. Yeah.
You really need to think fast on your feet during interviews. So on top of like being prepared, you also need to think fast. Because I would just like to share a story because the most recent interview that I did, I was the one conducting it. I actually towards the end of the interview, I threw a very odd question to the applicant, and this has nothing to do with the job, with the position. And I just asked him, do you believe in love at first sight? And at first he was taken aback. He didn't expect that question, and but that was actually the purpose of that question. We want to throw the applicant off and see how he would respond in unfamiliar and unexpected situations, which I think he actually handled the question very well because he explained he doesn't believe in it. He thinks that love needs time to develop. But here's the where the tip comes in, because he related his answer to the job that he was applying for.
Do tell. That's very interesting.
For copywriting position. So we do a lot of email marketing, and he actually related. He said it's like an email marketing. You need to catch the attention first with your subject line and your heading, and then develop interest after.
See, that's where wit comes
that's
in.
Where wit comes in. So I think that's a very valuable tip for applicants out there.
That's
Be sure
actually
to think fast on your feet.
Yeah. Because when you overthink your answer, you really just end up freezing and you can't think. And then after the interview, when you're about to go to sleep, you're just, oh my God, this is what I could have said.
Yeah, like all these thoughts and ideas just flood your mind.
Yeah.
You can't do anything about it anymore because the interview is over.
You just end up emailing, can I answer the question again now that I've thought about it? But yeah, I like to also ask questions that like are about their lives. Like when I ask people like, oh, what are your interests, or what are the ways that you de-stress after a long day of work or like during the weekend, and then they tell me that they like to watch movies and stuff. I usually follow up like, oh, what's your favorite movie, and or like what was the last movie that you've seen. and they tell me about it, and I ask them, can you explain to me could you give me a summary of that movie? And then I don't know why, some people can't explain it. Like they just saying, oh, I actually forgot the story, but it's kind of like this, because they end up freezing because they're not prepared for those questions. And it's really like, I'm just trying to make you feel more comfortable by like actually talking about like your interest. So
I think the point here is you need to prepare like all these basic templated questions. You need to prepare for them, but also you need to prepare to be spontaneous. Right. Because the questions that are going to be thrown at you during the interview are not just the ones that you can that are readily searchable in the internet.
Yeah.
Like right, like like questions that are odd and sometimes off.
Totally unrelated to the job.
Job, but you need to expect and prepare for those as well.
Oh my god, yeah, that's. I think I have learned also.
I will incorporate that when I do my interview.
Yeah, that's a fun way, like especially if you really enjoy talking to the candidate, because like for us, we have a guide on like what points we need to tackle and talk about, because again, at the end of the day, there's a checklist that people need to like check off the list. but it's also important to see like their personality and adding those questions in. Like it doesn't have to be the same question every time. It's just like whatever flows well. So that's what I also like to like tell like the recruitment members, that you know, sometimes you can inject your personality into the interviews and you don't have to just follow the guide.
And speaking of spontaneity, I think we are down to our
favorite segment.
Favorite segment.
Temporarily named.
Yeah. How do you say it again?
Okay, so we're gonna move into our ping pong ball questions from the fishbowl. What an easy name to
Remember. Yeah.
So you know what? Maybe we might stick with it. I don't know. If you guys have suggestions,
That's a mouthful.
maybe we should just call it question segment, you know? But again, it doesn't have the same charm to it.
Yeah.
So we'll think of something. But yeah, right now it's that. It's a ping pong ball questions from the fishbowl. So we're going to have Kharina pick out... oh my god, here we go again.
Ping pong ball.
Describing how this goes is such a challenge. You're gonna pick a ping pong ball from the fishbowl, and then it's gonna have a number, and for every number we have a corresponding question. So we're gonna, you guys don't know the questions, right?
They don't know the question.
Yeah. So we're gonna read that to you, and you're just gonna answer it as just what we described a while ago. Quick wits, just don't overthink it. Just whatever, whatever comes to your mind first. Just go ahead and say
No
it.
right or wrong answers in this one.
Yeah, that's right. Just, yeah.
Okay.
Just go with whatever.
let's leave
Yes,
that
that's right. So, would you do the honors and...
Hopefully we'll have enough time for another question for Andrea, right?
Yeah. Depends how off tangent we get with this segment. So go ahead. Remember, don't pick up the Christmas ball. There's a mix of balls. Okay, it's a number 9. Do you want it to be a 9? I think it's a 9. This is a 9.
What if it's a 6 list?
You want this to be a 6 or a 9? You can decide.
Everybody has their own version of the truth nowadays.
9.
So,
Okay, 9. Okay. How do you want to do?
This is actually my favorite question. I have been waiting for this question.
This is the long-awaited. Wow, 3 episodes. Long-awaited question. Pau's favorite question. So I think it's just right that he do the honors of reading and asking.
Okay. So, question number 9 from the fishbowl questions is: what is the worst thing that a person can put on their bio on a dating app?
Ooh. I feel like Andrea with her reactions like, oh my god, I have so many experiences.
No, actually, my friend, but like that's funny.
Who goes first on this one?
Do you want to go, Dre? Do you want to share your story? I feel like
you have a lot of stories to tell, Dre.
No. Okay. Should I go first, Kharina?
Yes, you can.
So I
feel like she's like, yes, please. I need to think.
Yeah, getting tips from people who answered first. Okay, so I actually don't go on dating apps, but a lot of my friends do.
Whoa.
And they sometimes screenshot it if the bio is ridiculous.
So what's one of the most
worst?
ridiculous stuff you've heard?
it's I forgot exactly what it is. It has something to do with, I think I forgot. It was on this red app, like the Tinder.
Okay.
Yeah, it was Tinder. And I actually forgot, but we burst out laughing because it was really, really funny and weird. But I can't
What's the
remember.
context of
Is
the?
it even safe for work to mention that?
It's
Let's make it
actually
clear
like
before
it
you
is.
start
It
talking
is
about
actually it is funny. It was like a knock joke, and I think you should
a
not
pickup
put it
line?
like a pickup line. Exactly. I think you should not put it because it's
I feel like he
It's
just
cringy.
comedy is like
subjective.
subjective. So
yeah.
I think that won't get him. That won't get
That
the
won't get
person
him.
any swipes.
I feel like maybe that could also be his filtering process. Like, if you don't like my bio knock joke, then maybe you're not the one for me.
Yo.
Wow.
That's a totally different perspective. And that actually makes sense.
Yeah, because like again, I am the same with Ray. I do not know how to navigate like TikTok apps, but I watch like stand-up comedy, and then this girl, oh my god, I'm blacking on her name, but I think her last name's like Tomlinson or something.
Taylor
But-
Tomlinson.
Yes, I love her. Oh my god, I love her so much. She's so funny. But yeah, so the dude, it's not really his bio, but it was his opening line. And I also forgot what the opening line is. But then his response, because she said like, does this work for you? Like this is effective. And then his response is like, how a girl responds is my way of filtering if she's
Is that
the
like
one
the
for me.
emoji? What was
I'm
it?
not sure what she said, honestly. I really
I think
forgot.
I think that was the emoji part.
Probably.
the open-
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
right?
I think that's it.
She would. I mean, the dude would usually
Send an emoji.
an egg.
No, it was not.
Okay.
Would send an emoji.
You would
And
send
just-
an emoji. Just not an eggplant emoji.
No.
An emoji nonetheless.
Yes.
And it's kind of like a weird way to kick off
A conversation.
a conversation with
Yeah.
someone whom you might potentially date.
Yeah, and then I remember Taylor was like, "Okay, so what does it? So what does my response tell you about me?" And then she said something like, "You have trouble trusting people, right?" Yeah. And then she was like, "Oh my god, how
Did
did
we
you
get
know?"
married? Did we get married now?
Yeah.
She's so funny.
Yeah. So I guess
highly
it's,
recommend.
yeah.
Taylor Tomlinson. Okay, so Kharina, how about you? What do you think is the worst thing that a person can put on their bio on a dating app? I'm quite curious.
Like, I don't really read bios of the
Oh, she's just out here swiping.
Just go for the face.
So you've used dating apps.
Yes, before I've used when I was a little bit younger.
Oh,
How many years
spicy.
was this ago?
How many
Like,
years?
and what dating app? If only if you're comfortable sharing.
This was the first launch of Tinder in the Philippines.
Oh, okay. So
So
did you try it out just for the funsies, or like was the intention to like,
intention?
I'm gonna find love in a hopeless place?
AKA Tinder.
it was just for fun for me and my friends.
I see.
So-
Yeah. My friends also did that. Like, you know what, let's just see what we find. And I think our goal was to find people that we know. And they'd be like, oh my god, I can't believe that they're on Tinder.
Like, you're gonna message, oh my god, I saw your profile on Tinder.
Yeah. So you weren't really focused on the bios.
Not really. I'm just.
But how was the experience though? And did you end up finding someone in there?
Oh,
Even just for a short
No.
while.
No. I told you it was just for fun, but I did reply with some of the messages, but I did not like meet up or.
Oh, I
whatever.
How was it? How was the?
so you're just chatting.
Just
Right.
something like
Just chatting.
okay.
Okay, so if you didn't really mind the bios, like, could you tell us like one of the maybe best and worst opening lines that that you got from people?
best in I don't know. Wait, probably like you know the. Oh my god.
Okay.
Make sure
way
it's
back.
not. Make sure it's not safe for.
Like
You know what I mean?
It's safe for
Rated
work.
PG.
PG basically.
most of them are actually rated PG, so I can't.
So we'll stay away from that. Okay, so what about like the maybe cutest
Yeah. Okay.
most
yeah.
heartwarming,
What
most
could
in-
reel-
wholesome.
most
what could reel
wholesome.
you in, right? Like what could
Yeah.
pique your interest, or like
Yeah, what could pique your interest in like what would make
'cause
you
this
want
could also
to
be a
respond?
tip
Because
for
it's-
guys who
yeah.
could be, right?
So aside from interview tips,
Yeah, dating tips as
Yeah,
well.
dating apps. If you use that, it's so superficial.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
you have to.
Totally.
If you want to reel them in, you have
Yeah.
to be smart.
So how what would be the perfect line that could reel you in?
yeah. And I guess this doesn't have to be just like on dating apps. I guess like when you're just really, trying to, oh my God, is this now a love podcast? We teach you how to find love.
You know what? We go from work to love.
Work-life balance.
Work-life balance.
Yeah, it
That's
can.
essential.
Yeah, you
So
gotta.
yeah. How do you what do you think is the perfect line that could not really reel you in, but like make you at least respond?
Oh, at
Right.
least respond.
That's it. At least that's the first step towards the right direction. I don't know. So yeah,
Yeah.
go ahead, Andrea. What do you think?
Me.
Yeah.
I saw the panic in Andrea, so I was like, what? Me?
Oh me. I don't use dating apps, and what will actually provoke me to reply is if the guy is a good conversationalist. I mean, he's not gonna bore me with like all these not random, but like random questions are fine. But like with all these usual.
Like,
Yeah. So
have you eaten already? Have
The
you
reverse
gotten
line.
home safe?
How was your day?
How was your day?
Yeah, I mean
What
that's
does that
fine.
line look like to you? Like, how do you? What is that usual line that will not fall under that usual, quote unquote, usual line?
If we're pertaining to like first conversation, right? So maybe just like I don't want it to be so romantic, like hey beautiful, hey pretty. I mean,
I almost
I perfectly timed with Pao drinking water, and Dre says this.
I don't want that. Like
Yeah.
I want him to pick my interest by maybe okay. There are some times that I want to provoke a conversation with a certain guy.
Oh,
Okay.
you know what? Normalize that. Like,
Yeah.
you know what?
I want to
normalize that. I
Yeah,
like that.
girls can reach out
Yes.
first.
I want
There's nothing
to
wrong with that.
exactly.
If
should
you
not
want
be
something,
stigmatized.
go get it, girl. And
Yeah.
guys, everyone.
So there are times that I want to provoke a conversation with a guy.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes I put on my story a song or a movie
Oh, okay.
that
Okay.
he likes, that I know he
Very
likes.
strategic. I like your thinking.
You know what? I think girls have like
clinical.
the same handbook of like, I know that this post is gonna get a response from this person.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go post it.
If guys have like a rehearsed line, girls do have that kind of handbook.
I think
Yeah.
I think that would be the equivalent. But I think our way is like
Yeah.
less in your
It's
face.
very subtle.
Yeah, like
very
if,
subtle.
yeah, if the person doesn't respond to like a story or a post, then fine. It's not like it's directed
It's
to
not
that
for
person.
you solely.
Yeah.
So it's
Like,
for
if you
everyone.
think it's just for you, then check yourself before you wreck yourself. I'm just kidding.
If it's for you, then message me.
But then
You
when
guys are savages.
no, but then I think it's a safer way of like
Yeah.
trying to engage in a conversation rather than like directly sending
Yes.
someone a message. I don't have the guts for that. Like
too.
it's
Like, I'm
it
very-
is it is not my thing. Cause like what if they don't respond to you?
I mean, it's okay if they don't respond. It's just that, well, even if I say it's okay, it's gonna hurt a bit.
Oh.
Yeah, let's be
So now
realistic
you know
here.
what it feels like, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're addressing a trauma here. Like what's going on?
Anyway, we move on to Kharina.
Wait, what was the question?
What would be a good opening line, or like if someone were to talk to you, like it is on a dating app, outside of a dating app,
Messenger,
yeah, like how would you want to be approached? It doesn't have to be like a specific line, but maybe like the way that
the
they
manner.
the manner of being approached, I
Yeah.
guess.
Probably just gonna ask like, how was your day? Something like that. This is the most simplest one. How was your day?
Oh,
That's actually,
You like
nice.
to
See,
start with
so-
small talk.
yeah.
Yes, of course, small talks are really essential. I don't get it why people are saying, I hate small talks. Like, girl, do you want to talk about the universe on the first like conversation? You want to talk about the universe and death and love and alien. Like,
Oh my God, that's so funny. Because sometimes, like when you start talking to someone, all you talk about is like your generational trauma and like how your parents kind of messed you up. And I'm just like, this is normal first date conversations. Like this is fine. And then, but I think like what you said a while ago, Dre, like I think again, perspective of like, some people like being approached just like, I guess, in a more wholesome and not really harmless manner of like, hey, how was your day? That's, very cutesy.
hey, I saw you earlier. I like your dress. I mean, that's
Yeah,
that's how I want to be approached.
Yeah.
Anyone.
But you know what? Because your outfits also are very cute in the office, girl.
you.
So I think that's why people will really like just message you like,
OOTD every day.
nice outfit, Dre. But yeah, sometimes it's the way that they approach. It's not really like what they say, but the approach and like the tone of the message. If it's not too intimidating,
Or not too aggressive.
not too aggressive, not too straightforward, and you feel comfortable talking like with a person. And I think it also helps if like you have a backer.
Like a wingman or something?
Yeah, like a
like
wingman.
you have a wingman, because it's like you have a reference, like you have a background, you have an NBI.
What's this mean?
No, okay, because right when you're applying, oh my God, relating it
It's-
to the
I was
right?
just about to make that connection. But yeah, go ahead.
when you're applying for a job, like the NBI, like you have to get NBI clearance. I don't know. You have to get NBI clearance and make sure that you have no criminal record and stuff. So if you have a backer, you have someone to like saying, okay, yeah, like, okay, you know what? I think you guys would be a good match because this is his profile, this is your profile. Try it out. And then, it's less intimidating because like you're recommended. Like a referral. Check out our employee referral program. Oh my God. Guys, I'm on a roll today. But yeah, can I just give a shout out to our employee referral program at MedSpec? Like we have different incentives that we give out. Like our employee referral incentives right now is at like 20K maximum that you can earn for like a successful referral. So if you guys don't know anything about that, approach HR, email HR, and like, let us know. And also, interview tip. Even if you don't know anyone, because referrals are so important in the recruitment process now. So even if you don't know someone personally from that company and that's a company that you want to work at, then connect with them like on LinkedIn or something.
That's really
And then that's a way of like, hey, I saw that you work in this company. I was just wondering if like, what are the job openings? Like, how did you get this position? Could you refer me? And most of the time, they would be very much willing to refer you because there is a referral incentive in that company. So, yeah, I think that's my
Actually haven't like thought of that way of like
networking.
networking.
Yeah.
It's actually pretty smart.
Oh my God. So I guess that's my tip of the day. That's what I learned today from myself. That's what I can impart on people. Because it's very hard now to like get good opportunities, especially with how competitive it's been in the workforce industry, in the employment life. So I think that could be a good start. Like connect with people that work in a company that you would want to work at, and also do your research on like the companies, because values really matter.
This has been
and
such
at the end of the day, like for example, in recruitment, the job is going to be the same in you're going to hire, interview, recruit, but the people that you're going to be working with, the culture in that company, and the opportunities that you're gonna get. Like for example, this opportunity of doing the podcast, like when I signed my contract, I didn't know this was gonna happen. Right? Like we're here kind of like, cruising through life, and we got opportunities like this. So like moments like, oh my God, am I getting sentimental? No, I'm not now. But like it's opportunities like this that make me feel like I made the right decision. Because again, knowing what Med Specialized is, I think employee culture is quite important to Med Specialized. And even though, again, there's no perfect company, it's still something that we're still trying to develop and, get to a place where, we can try to make majority of the employees happy and feel fulfilled. Because again, it's not every day or not everyone who gets, the opportunity to do like projects like this. Although we hope that we can continue doing this and, get more people on board and have a like rotation of casts and different guests. But yeah, I think, when you're looking for companies that you want to work at, if you're able to and if you have the opportunity to be a bit picky with the companies that you're going to work with, understand what values they have as a company and not just like how much salary you're going to get. Also, and like the benefits, because those are things that you can find in other companies, but like really the culture and how you're going to be treated is like, very different for every company. So I guess that's my did I just do a self-reflection moment?
I
was like, okay, I'm rambling. Okay, so I guess I'll throw it to Pao.
I'm actually interested to hear like what is the lesson that you think you can take away from this interaction that we had from this podcast, like especially from Andrea and Kharina. What do you think is your biggest takeaway from this?
Yeah, I guess we can start off with Kharina. Yeah.
Let me start off with Andrea.
Oh, okay, yeah, we'll start off.
Back to you, Dre.
All right, I guess I was wrong. Cut. Again, take 2. Go, Andrea.
So my takeaway is that they really value like interaction. I mean, because I don't work with Pao. I'm not under Pao. I'm not a Bama. I'm actually under Liz. So this kind of interaction actually brings people closer together. Like especially if like you're from different departments. Just like the 4 of us. So it's actually very fun, and it's kind of like an eye opener. So I get to talk to Pao, something that I don't usually do every day. I get to talk to Kharina, something that I don't really have a chance because you work on night shift. So
she works from home as well.
Yeah,
I think that's also very important. The specialized do offer positions or have open positions that offer work from home.
Yeah.
So it's fun. I mean, I get to interact with people and I get to talk, something that I really like because I'm chatty.
I can tell. By the way, this is Andrea and I's first interaction ever, and it has been
really?
Fun,
Is that right?
We usually just
I think I saw you in Macdo, but I was too shy to say hi.
I was coming from the gym.
I was like, should I say hi? But we haven't really talked yet.
But that's something that's really awkward in the office. Like you see each other and then
every day.
Yeah, you see each other every day. It's like, do I say hi? Do I not say hi? So I think like
use the eyebrows. It's the most effective.
Yeah, it's harder now with the mask because you can't really like see each other's smile. So yeah, I mean aside from projects like this, like Med Specialized also has like clubs where you get to showcase your interests and be involved in like sports, gaming, and
recently. Shout out to your volleyball team, Liz.
Oh my God, yeah. So our volleyball team. So we have a volleyball club. We have a badminton club. Shout out Team Yulea, our team captain.
Yes,
Yul.
my friend.
Yeah, her best friend. But yeah, we have like these avenues of being able to get to know people who are really not like our teammates, people that aren't on the same shift as us.
Yes.
And it's fun getting to know these people, even if you just see each other like once a week with like a badminton game for 2 hours. And it really is.
Balance.
Yeah, and again, it boils down to like networking because you never know where life will take you in the next like 5-10 years. So if you can create relationships with the people that you work with or like outside of your department or your teams, it's a really great way to make like connections or just networking. And networking doesn't have to be like a negative thing, can I just say?
Exactly.
But yeah, let's go to Kharina's answer.
Your thoughts, Kharina?
Probably the same as Andrea, but yes, it's this kind of interaction is quite nice in the way that I get to know people from other departments, and I get to talk to you guys since we actually work from home and we don't get to see other even our workmates. We just do the chattings but we don't talk to each other. Kind of.
It's actually different, right? Especially with face-to-face interactions. I totally get the point. But yeah, this has been really fun though.
I really enjoyed this pod. Yeah.
Enjoy this episode. Unfortunately, we are pressed on time. Kevin and
Did we want to talk a bit more about dating apps or interview tips?
like that was the highlight of the pod. But yeah, Kevin and Archie are already signaling.
Yes, our prod floor managers.
Managers are already signaling. But yeah, this has been really fun.
Yeah, thank you
We
guys.
can have you guys on board again.
Yeah.
I would love that.
We're planning on like episodes for the next year already. So we're manifesting that this is something that we can continue. But yeah, thank you so much guys for your time today. You showed up, you were here, you offered great insight, and I think even Pao and I really like learned something from you guys, and I hope our listeners were able to take like something from this conversation. So thank you again for being here. Thank you listeners for staying until the end of the episode. If you're still here, leave us a message or a comment. Like, yeah, you know, do the things that you do with like a podcast. I don't know. But yeah, we hope you guys learned something from this random conversation as usual.
Yeah. All right. So join us again next time as we share and talk about the different career experiences of different med species. This has been Pao.
And this has been Liz, signing off.